Okay, so look, at its very core, Khula Sizwe is about enabling growth and ensuring inclusive transformation, specifically in the property sector. So a couple of months ago, we met with Khula Sizwe, and there was this overwhelming passion that they had to develop properties in townships. So this is the flagship program. So we are starting in Soweto, and our intention is to make some of the properties. So we're only taking five beneficiaries. But the intention is to make them viable and sustainable businesses, as well as compliant businesses. So it's not only about you having a house or a back room and transforming it into a rental space, but to also ensure that this is a business, and if there are other avenues that you can look at in order to make it grow and more sustainable, this program would be your very first step. So if you say, look, I want to go into student accommodation, we do that. We say, okay, let's look at what you need to become compliant to student accommodation. And then, students, after some time, it gets very quiet. So maybe in December, November or so, and you say, okay, maybe I can do an Airbnb in the meantime while students are away. So we want Black property owners to start looking at other avenues to make their businesses a bit more viable.
Thank you for that, Lebogang. So I'm just going to ask, evidently my video is still giving me issues. I trust you, I look decent and I look good. But it's fine. We'll see if a colleague can help me out. If maybe Carla and Bateti can just jump in and give us also context from their backgrounds, why they decided to work with Zavoli as an implementing partner and where we're hoping to take this program.
I was hoping Bateti could answer that. But we are a service provider in essence to Khula Sizwe. So they've asked us to roll out this flagship program, at least for the first year. But if you know anything about flagship programs, that you kind of pilot and try it out for the first year, and then you start to pad other things in that you think are lucrative for the program going forward. But only Khula Sizwe can speak to that. But for now, we're just hoping to support 5 property owners, specifically in Soweto. And then as for the future of the program, we'll see as this one rolls out.
Okay, awesome. Great feedback and background, Lebogang. So the next segment of this session is to just have a discussion about backrooms, their prospective success and investing in backrooms as businesses, which will be facilitated by my colleague, Moresi. Moresi, you ready? Okay.
Yes, Lisa. I'm just about to start my video. Can everyone see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Lisa. And thank you very much, Lebogang, for the brief and very much detailed introduction. I just wanted to ask why this program specifically. Can you just step into that?
Because township properties are, let me say, development in townships is becoming the thing. So now we are seeing that they're becoming very vibrant, and there's a lot of development in township areas. And Khula Sizwe thought, why not? Let us also back this new economy in townships, where we see that people are not specifically trying to always move to the suburbs, but they're trying to build hubs and malls and all sorts of things in the township area. So let's also back the property sector in the township area. So that's why we thought, look, the economy is becoming vibrant in terms of that. So let's also back it.
So would you say that bedrooms are a variable structure for student accommodation? And since you know there's been a stereotype about bedrooms being informal renting settlement, would you say that it can be a lucrative market for Airbnbs as well?
Yes, yes. Look, I think townships have a specific vibrancy about them. And I think there's a lot of culture, a lot of livelihood, subcultures, food, art, music, all sorts of things exist in townships. So I think there has been a misconception where townships were associated with poverty and, you know, concentration camps and all sorts of things that people have attached to it. But I think as we've seen their continued investment and development, we can also see that it's becoming sites for innovation and commercial gain, especially in the property market. So I think there's potential, whether Airbnb, whether student accommodation, I think that exists, that potential exists.
Yeah, if I may also just jump in there, Mauricio, I also agree with Lebogang completely. It's just that townships were made to just feel like this place of poverty and sadness, and almost the aspiration is to always leave. But we see now more and more people growing and developing the townships. There's a lady that was on TV the other day just talking about how she's built the first boutique hotel in Soweto, and you know, people are doing really big things. So this is a great opportunity for black business people who would just normally develop the back rooms for family members. There really is a lucrative market here, and we do want people to participate, and please guys, apply for the program.
Yes, please.
Okay, so thank you very much for that, Lisa. I actually got the hang of it. And how would you get a piece of action if I would want to invest in townships? How do you have any tips or advice that I can go about doing that?
Yeah, look, I think if you own property in the township, that's your very first step. So if you have any opportunity to own, or if you've inherited property, um, develop it. Develop it. If there's any opportunity for you to add a back room for additional income, do that. And then that additional income, you can bank it and do something else with it. So you can always try to save towards developing or buying another property or starting another small business, whatever the case. I think the township economy allows for that. I think it allows for that agility to do whatever you can in the space that you are given. So the first step, if you can, own property, whether you've inherited it or whatever the case, and then whatever proceeds you get from there, always think about what else you can do with that money. And I always say within the township, I know like you want to invest overseas, of course, but try to invest as close to home as possible and then let that advance to something else.
They do say charity begins at home.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I see your hand, so we will allow questions in a bit. I just want to give Mauricio an opportunity to finish asking her questions and then do her closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Lisa. This is actually just my last question to do an overview. Maybe you can just give us how sustainable would you think bedroom rental property is?
Look, it is sustainable. One, because of all the development around it, right? So it's no longer in the olden days where you have to travel far to get to a tuck shop or travel far to get to the mall. So there's a lot of development within the township. So it makes people want to stay in the township. So a lot of people work there, and there are, what do they call it, amenities. You know, when you look for property, they say there's a school and there's a mall and this and that. So those things are coming closer to home. So it makes it unbelievably sustainable. Two, the culture. I know it always sounds so typical, but it's true. The culture is so beautiful and vibrant in townships that why wouldn't you want to develop and invest in the township and start with your own property? So I think it is viable. And then three, tourism, you know. So it might not only be tourism, it could also be student accommodation, whatever the case, but there's always traffic, there's always feet in the township that allows it to be a viable business. So I think it has the ability to be unbelievably sustainable. I think the proceeds from making such income have the potential to allow you to invest in other things. So yeah, I think it's very sustainable, and I think it has potential.
Can I maybe jump in there just to give a bit of a background as well as to talk to the sustainability of this program really. So just to probably maybe just touch base as to why Khula is also partner in this and why this initiative in the first place and the sustainability of it. So Khula Sizwe was established by Barloworld, and its slogan, it says enable growth. They have created a platform for this company to succeed. We have 64 properties, which is tenanted by Barloworld in essence, with a 10-year lease, and it's a triple net lease. So that guarantees the income. So if you look at how we link this to this program, so Khula Sizwe thought in its way of enabling growth, how do we enable growth in the township space? Where there is township growth, there is desires to empower people. Hence, we partnered with Zivoli to do this program. And what we're looking at, it's not just to probably identify the beneficiaries and throw money and walk away. We have to ensure that there is a success to this program. And the businesses that we support are sustainable in a way that going forward, they can carry business on their own. So that is part of what Khula Sizwe really stands for. And I think the support that we want to give to the landlords and creating that accommodation for the students and be able to provide that accommodation in the years to come. It's imperative for Khula Sizwe. I'll leave it at that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bateti, for that. And Moresi, do you have any closing remarks?
I think just before everyone gives their closing remarks, we can start with the questioning as well, Lisa. We just answer everyone's questions and we go to maybe the FAQs just to look at time and
So I'm going to answer. So between, I think all of us on the panel, we can have a shot at the questions. I see Elvis. I don't know if this is the same question that you had earlier on, but I'm just going to read this question. The questions that was received on the online platform, the program is in Soweto. Does that mean if a property is outside of Soweto, then you are not able to participate in this program? This is East Land and Polokwane participants.
That is correct. Yes. So if it's outside of Soweto, then you are not eligible.
And then I have another question from Oradwa Masilo. Hi all, I'm running in from Rustenburg. No, I'm tuning in from Rustenburg, sorry. I am in Sunrise community and the township has really grown with 2 shopping complexes comprising of banks like Capitec Retail and groceries. What kind of support can I get as I have 6 rooms which are currently vacant but would like to let them out? Thank you. So I think...
Are the rooms in Rustenburg? Warat.
Yeah, I would think that it's a place in Rustenburg, the Sunrise community. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that a place? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, for the first round, we are definitely only looking at Soweto. So unfortunately, the property wouldn't be eligible for this round.
Okay, I have another question. There are a lot of unoccupied student accommodation rooms in Soweto. Are we aware of this? How can this be sustainable? Also, are we looking for townships with a lack of back rooms for specific employment areas? That's a question that was received from Elvis's platform.
Okay, so sorry, let me read the question. There are a lot of unoccupied. Are we aware of this? Yes, we are aware. I think that's why we thought that this should be the first flagship program. And then why are we looking at townships with a lack of back rooms for specific employment areas? I don't think I understand the question. Why are we looking at townships with a lack of back rooms
Yeah, maybe
for specific
you should
employment areas?
elaborate.
Just to clarify with regards to that question, the last part of the question that you mentioned, you do not understand. I think they're saying that there's a lot of townships where there's new development where you'll find there's a factory, there's a new business area booming, but there's a lack of accommodation areas. I mean, you look at places like, let's say Pretoria West. There is this Coca-Cola branch in Pretoria West, and the township in that area is literally very new, and it does not have enough accommodation for people that are coming to work there. And even the complexes that are mushrooming there, they're great, but the people that are actually staying in the townships do not have adequate accommodations. How do you now, maybe, whether you, even when you're starting in Soweto, how do you make sure that it's not just only looking at the students, but also areas where there's a lot of employment opportunities and people want proper, adequate accommodation, so to speak?
Yeah, look, maybe Khula and Batete, you can help me maybe in terms of the future of the program, but the intention is for the program to scale and look at other areas and look at other forms of income other than student accommodation. So, I think I'll keep repeating that it's just for Soweto for this first round. But in terms of the future of the program, we are definitely going to look at other areas, and we'll do a lot of research in terms of whether to look at new townships that don't have accommodation, or to look at existing townships that need other forms of income for tourism or whatever other purposes. But I hear you, and I agree with you. It's just that for this first round, if it looks, let's do Soweto. It's something we know. It's something that's a bit safer for us for a flagship program. And then once this works out, then we can definitely look at other areas.
That is true. Thank you, Lebo. I think, but just to add on that, I think it's important that we keep the program as a start in a small scale so that we ensure the success of it, and then we can expand it to more. But if you look at what we touched on, is that it's a student accommodation, but then when the times when it's quieter, when the schools are closed and stuff like that, that accommodation can actually be transformed and be used as for tourism, which means then we can look at holiday places. But the place has to be in a standard that it can accommodate people even when outside the students for tourism perspective.
Okay, thank you, Batete. So we don't have much more time left. I'm just going to acknowledge Katleho's hand, and then I unfortunately have to wrap up. Any other questions that you may have, I see some on the chat, they are increasing. Please do send an email to either lisa@zavoligp.com or moroisi@zavoligp.com, and then we'll answer your questions, or info@zavoligp.com. Then you'll be able to have, a more robust response. But Katleho, you can ask the last question.
Hi, good morning. Excuse me, please, if I might have missed this, but I really want to get a sense of what exactly is the level of support and so forth that the program offers for property owners. If you guys could go into that detail, I'd really appreciate it.
Okay. So we look at a couple of things. So one is compliance. So this is property compliance. So this is us getting consultants in to ensure that the property is compliant. So I'll make an example with student accommodation. So you're meant to have an 8x8 square meter room for one student. So those are things that we have to ensure are in place. You have to have one microwave for 5 students. Those are the things that we have to ensure are in place. So number one is compliance. Number two then becomes the business side of it. So the business side of it is just training. So a couple of months will train you on basic business skills. And then the second element is tools and platforms. So let's say you need a rental management tool. So we pay for the subscription, whether it's for a year or however long the budget allows. We pay the subscription for the rental not to come, through your Capitec bank account, but for us to be able to manage it on a separate platform to ensure that we formalize the business. And then the third thing we look at, maybe fourth, is mentorship. So we pair you with a mentor that will give you advice on how to grow your investment. And then I think I'm missing something else, visibility, yes. So marketing, so you know that a lot of property owners in Soweto is just, you know, whoever knows me can come and rent my accommodation, but what we're trying to do is to ensure that it's a visible business. So let's develop the branding and the logos and things like that. Let's get you on social media and let's teach you how to manage your social media so that you always have income, you always have eyes, you always have visibility. I hope I'm still within time, Lisa.
Yes, just in time. So thank you everyone for your time. Thank you for participating and joining the session. I've put in our email addresses as a project team that you are welcome to email us. We'll try and respond as timely as possible. But as for this session, we've come to the end of it. And I think I can take last remarks for a minute from the panel, if there are any.
I think from Khula Sizwe, really, it's a big thank you. We appreciated the session. I think it's a good start. We're looking forward to partnering with landlords in Soweto and ensuring that this program is a success. And thank you, Sizwe team as well.